Hi, my name is Katie, and I am the driver for the session, and I'm here with.
Hi, my name is Rooney. I'll be navigating the session.
Okay. So today we learned chapter 15, which was saving time with views, functions, and triggers. Um, I am going to explain a few points about what we learned, and then I will just show you my query. Okay. So basically, one of the advantages of using the programming language is that it allows us to automate repetitive, boring tasks. So, for example, if you have to run the same query every month to update the same table, sooner or later you'll search for a shortcut to accomplish the task. The good news is that shortcuts exist. In the chapter, you learn techniques to encap speed, encapsulate queries like logic into the reusable PostgreSQL database objects that will speed up your workflow. So here we learned views. So basically a view is a virtual table that can create dynamically using a save query. So basically it avoids duplicate efforts, reduce complexity, and provides security. So here a view has been created in a query form. And then what else is it? Then we learned inserting, updating, deleting using a view. So I'm just going to cover a function that I have covered today. Let me open my query. Let me find it. Oh. So also in this chapter we learn how to create functions. So I am going to explain this function. So yeah, I created a function called divide. So it takes two inputs num1 and num2. Sorry. So num1 is the number that we want to divide, and num2 is the number we're dividing by. So both are obviously numeric. So both can be decimals or big numbers. And the return numeric, this function will just give back the result of our sum that we are dividing. And then we have our begin and our end. So basically, let me just highlight it. So here we have the begin and the end. So the begin just starts the block of code that will run. And then we have if num2 is equal to 0. Here we are checking if the second number is 0. And then we have a raise exception, division by 0 is not allowed. So if it is 0, the function stops and it throws an error. This protects the query from crashing or giving bad results basically. And then we have the n, and then this will just obviously check the n, and then it is wrapped in dollar signs. So the dollar signs just wraps the query, wraps the function. And then we have our end if over here, and the return in the end. So the return means if everything is fine, it divides the num1 by num2 and it gives the answer. And then the end just means it is the end of the logic. So now I am going to run the first sum. So it's 10 divided by 2. That will go through because the second digit is not 0. And now here we have a digit that is 0, sorry. And when I run it, it should throw an error, as we can see over here. Division by 0 is not allowed. Um, and that's like really about it that we learned. So basically, this chapter was really about the create replace. So this is just a safety update views or functions without deleting the old version. And then we obviously learn views that show a certain part of the table that sets rules for what counts as valid data. Then we have functions that act like mini tools that do things like returning text or solving math so we don't repeat ourselves. Then the dollar sign just wraps the code in PostgreSQL, knows where a function begins and ends. And then also the check option that is a safety rule to view its blocks and change that doesn't follow the filter. And then we also have the raise exception, so this just stops the function when something's wrong. And that is about it for chapter 15 part 1. Thank you for watching.